Y'all's the hate on all of my moves, but now niggas on it. Y'all used to bait me on me and my views, but now niggas on it. I used to tell them I'ma have me a show, but now niggas on it. Her homies on it. Your homies on it. Y'all's the hate on all of my moves, but now niggas on it. Y'all used to debate me on me and my views, but now niggas on it. I used to tell them I had me a show, but now niggas on it. Her homies on it. Your homies on it. Realest podcast.
What up, people? We are back on the Realest Podcast server, and today we have a special guest joining us. Today's guest is a lifelong Philadelphian, born and raised in West Philadelphia and educated at the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. He has dedicated his life to public service ever since his youth. After serving almost 15 years in Philadelphia City Council, he was elected the 98th mayor in his hometown of Philadelphia in November of 2007 and took office in January 2008. During his tenure as mayor, he oversaw record lows in crime, improved the city's green infrastructure, and wore many different hats that included president of the United States Conference of Mayors and president of Pennsylvania Municipal League. He is one of the most prominent and memorable mayors in the history of Philadelphia. TRP Nation, I need you to give us a super duper warm welcome for Michael A. Nutter.
Hey, thank you, man.
It's staying there. You see the playback. It's going to be playing.
You see it, you'll be able to hear it.
You're going to make me cry.
This is something that has been in the works for a few months. Yeah. We actually had time to we ran into each other in a couple different places and, hung out and got to know each other. And I want to give credit to the person that put all this together, Mr. Kevin Harton Jr., who's the number one lawyer in Philadelphia and the official legal counsel for TRPE.
There you go.
He made the connection and, stayed on it. And, even when you ran into Matt recently, you remember don't you got a radio show or something?
You got a radio show or something?
I'm supposed to do your show.
I know I'm supposed to do this thing. I got spun around a little bit.
And we got it done. So we want to really, really thank you. Say we appreciate your time. I know you're an extremely busy guy. Moving and shaking, and this is a blessing for us. So thank you.
No, I'm very appreciative, and when I read up about you guys, I'm honored to be on this. But I want to commend you, just with the title.
Right.
The realest podcast ever. I said, damn, I think I need to do this. I don't know what it's going to be.
Real? You know
I could be real. I don't know what it's going to be, but I think I'm going to do this, John. So,
like I alluded to, you're a West Philly guy.
Yeah.
Went to St. Joe's Prep, right?
Yep.
For anybody that's not super familiar with you, or maybe some of the younger people in our audience, what is the 150-second elevator pitch on who Michael Nutter is as it relates to your upbringing, school history, and your Philly roots?
Well, I was thinking about that. It was interesting, the 152nd. I had to take a moment and say, okay, all right, it's 2.5 minutes. Let me think about this. There's nothing particularly special, I think, about my story. Growing up 60s and 70s in West Philly, tough times, gang war activity, a bunch of things, but it was a real community. This is way back in the day where every adult on the block could tell any child to stop doing something or be over there, go over there. Unified community, Saturday morning, everybody's out, sweeping down the steps, sweep off your sidewalk, put the stuff in the street, collect it in the street, and really kept the block tight. A lot of kids on my block, so I had a lot of friends on the street. 55th and Larchwood.
Okay.
Yeah.
Around the way.
Yeah, you right around the way.
Right around, in the way. We was in the way, and often trying to stay out of the way.
Right.
Like I mentioned, the gang war stuff was really tough, different than today. But a lot of young people died during those times, and so you had your block or your neighborhood, and that was it. Mm-hmm. I could go to Black Oak Park, 52nd and Pine, that's now Malcolm X Park. I go to Sherwood Recreation Center, that's now Christie, on 56th Street. We had Sims Food Market, that was a black family at the one corner. I worked at Snyman's. I worked at Sims when I was a kid. My first real job, I was 8 years old. I was dishing water ice when I was 8. And then I moved to the other end of the block, Snyman Pharmacy. Worked there for 6 years. And then you had the German market on the other corner. You had a black barbershop, cleaners around the corner on Pine Street, black. I think it was an Irish meat market. So, I mean, it was real community.
Sound diverse.
It was pretty diverse. You know, we were the third black family to move on the block. When my parents got married in 56, I was born in 57. By the time I was about 10, I think there were 3 white families left. I mean, it was a big.
It happens fast.
It was a
It
big
happens
turnover,
very
right?
fast.
And I wasn't as aware, but you realize it.
I'm from Penrose, Southwest.
Yeah.
And my dad, he was the first black on the block in 1970. And people think I joke when I tell them I was born in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. Elmwood, Dix Avenue, Buick, that was white.
Absolutely.
It was very white.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you see it now, you almost can't believe it. And I'll take you even further. My uncle, they went to Bartram, main
Right.
building.
Mm-hmm.
He said that they used to get chased home by the white kids.
Right.
And it's the concept of white kids chasing blacks home from Bartram main building. It doesn't make any sense.
No, but it was real.
That's real.
It's real. It's real. So, I don't know, I probably used up my 150 seconds, but, it was just a great community. And it was a time also, and this is where politics, I didn't even realize it. I loved American history when I was in high school, going to the prep from 55th and Larchwood. So I got to take the G bus on 57th Street to the L, take the L into town, and either take the number 2 bus on 16th Street or take the Broad Street side. And every day, basically, you're making a choice. How fast do I think I can run today? Because then I got to deal with Stiles Street and Stobby Street gang, right? They're beefing, they're warring, but they generally left us alone because we were just like these, little prep school kids with the jacket and the tie and the whole thing. But some days, you got to haul from Broad and Girard, get to 17th or from 16th. But that was all part of the education, right? So you learn how to pay attention. But Jimmy Carter.
School of Hard Knocks.
Absolutely. Well, I tell people, which of course is not true, I have a master's degree from UCLA. And they say, what? That's not in your bio. This is the University of the corner of Larchwood Avenue. I mean, you just get some learnings, man.
Learn quick.
I'm gonna come up with something like that. That's cool.
University of the corner of Larchwood Avenue, right? And you pay attention. And so I go to college, I went to Penn, voted for Jimmy Carter in 76, got registered to vote immediately. And Jimmy Carter and that administration, they were kicking out so much financial aid that you can see on a graph the number of black people, brown people who started going to college and university. See, my parents didn't go to college. Hardly, I don't think any of the parents on my block went to college, but everybody worked, and all they wanted was for us to go to college.
Right.
And every kid on my street who wanted to go to college went to college and had some financial resources. Ronald Reagan beats Jimmy Carter in 1980, cuts financial aid, and you can see the numbers precipitously drop.
Right.
From kids being able to go to school. So it's all about access. My life story is a story about community, family, access, mentors, sponsors, and people who cared about me. And that's the story. And that's how I got to be where I was, where I am. Took some chances, had some opportunities, and the center of my whole political life really started at Broad and Germantown at the Impulse Discotheque.
You know what's crazy is now that you say it, I thought my uncle was lying. Because he's a bit of a liar.
On the guy like that.
You know how people we was having family time, they just asked what's going on. I'm like, oh, we getting ready to interview Michael Nutter. He's like, oh, word, yeah, I remember Mike from back at Impulse. And I'm like, what? And he was like, yeah, that's Mixmaster Mike. And I'm like, what? I thought he was making it up.
Almost sound like them stories from Coming to America. Because I'm walking down the street, get punched in the chest. I look up, Luther King.
So you did DJ at Germantown at the Impulse.
I did it at the Impulse Discotheque. It was the first black-owned disco in the city. So my guy, Robert Bynum, and you know the Bynum brothers and Zanzibar Blue and South and all that. So Robert's father, Ben, had a bunch of clubs, and the one at Broad in Germantown was the Cadillac Club back in the day. So you had Billy Paul, Aretha Franklin, Lou Rawls. I mean, all of them rolled through.
Billy Paul, I remember that name.
Yeah, Billy Paul. He actually did a album, and the title of
Me
it
and
is
Mrs. Jones.
Well, that's a song, but he had an album called Live at Cadillac Club. So Ben, Robert's father, traveled to Europe extensively and saw and anticipated the disco wave coming out of Europe in the 70s. So he closes the Cadillac Club, guts it to the walls, and then opens back up as the Impulse Discotheque. Now, this is a place, this is the 70s, so this is a place, the exception of the dance floor and the ceiling, everything was carpeted.
You got carpet in the club.
Carpet in the club.
Wall to wall.
Except for the parquet wood dance floor. The floor and the wall all had carpet.
Okay.
And at the time, you could smoke in the club and the whole thing, right? So Robert and I, the club opened the summer of '76. That was the summer between our freshman and sophomore year at Penn. We went to Penn together, we roommated together, the whole thing. Been friends 50 plus years. So after school, I would come to the club and clean up from the night before. Deal with the ashtrays, deal with the trash, stock the bar, do the ice, all that, get the place ready. And then we had house DJs, two guys, Kenny Ebo and Gordon Fauntleroy, but they didn't come in until 10 o'clock. The club opened at 7, 8. Okay. So Robert and I, whatever night, whoever was working, we had to get the crowd ready for the house DJs. So that's when we started playing records.
So what was your DJ name?
Mixmaster Mike.
Mixmaster Mike, yeah.
I thought he was bullshitting. I thought he was playing.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I
look.
ain't bringing that up.
You gonna get this interview canceled promptly.
Look, we would DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince before they were. Okay. Robert played the records. I was a hype man on the mic, and we had a ball. We were doing our thing. So, but it was there that I met all these political people. There was a building across the street. It's still there, and it's now being developed into a hotel called the Brewery Building, across from the club. And they had a lot of social service agencies in there. So the club catered to a 30-plus-year-old crowd. And so all those workers in that building's probably 10 stories, they would come to the club after work. Okay. So we kind of had a built-in crowd. Then you had the citywide crowd, the whole thing. So we're 19 years old, working in a club geared to 30-plus, and that was part of our education.
Yeah, how about it?
That was the learning. So I see all these people, and we're watching them and meet, Bill Gray and John White and Marion Tasco and all these folks, right? So fast forward a couple more years, Robert and I started going to City Hall. We fancied ourselves we were going to become real estate moguls. Okay. And
I like it.
I like
the energy.
This is the plan, right? We're going to go to a sheriff's sale. We're going to buy properes. Now, little
y'all
flaw.
definitely from West Philly.
Little flaw in the plan because neither one of us know shit about construction. But we're
going to get the houses.
It don't matter. We're going to get the houses, and then we're going to renovate them, and we're going to flip them, and we're going to make money. So we go to the sheriff's sale, and I mean, the shit is flying fast and furious. We're like, there's something fucked up in this process. This is some sketchy shit happening, right? They're like, no, we're going to keep our little money. So we went from there, and then we went to city council, which was, it's open to the public. So we're there, checking it out, stuff going on, and blah, blah, blah.
The sheriff's like, man, I'm about to just be a politician.
There's too much going on in this joint, man. Talking fast, I don't understand what he's saying.
Boom, 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 boom.
I think they already sold these properties. They just playing games with us.
Somebody's got a hook up there.
That's hilarious.
I don't know nobody. So let me keep my money in my pocket. So go to city council meetings, and, the joint was live. John Street was, we had that whole app scam thing with a couple council members, George Schwartz. Every week, John Street is going at him. You took the cash. He's banging on him, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, of course, he resigned. He got convicted. And then John White, who had been a state rep, his council member also got caught up in the same thing. So he got convicted. He had to resign. So now John White is a city councilman.
Right.
So, and I met him from the club. So I knock on his door one day, and I say, hey, I'm interested in this political stuff, but I don't know anything about it. And so he said, all right, well, let's sit down and talk. So he starts telling me different things. And he said, well, where do you live? I said, well, I live in the Winfield section. He said, oh, go next door. My best friend, John Anderson, lives out in Winfield. Tell him what you're interested in. You were talking to me, and, go from there. Bet. Go next door, knock on the door, So I was just at Councilman White's office. They said I should come over and see Councilman Anderson. Now, I never heard of John Anderson.
Right.
I never saw John Anderson. I didn't even know what he looked like. Right? They welcomed me in. I sit down with him. We talking. I said, I'm kind of interested about it. He said, well, where exactly do you live? And so I was, at the time I was living off of Conshohocken Avenue, not too far around the corner from Channel 6. So he said, well, look.
Yeah, you definitely West Philly. You made it when you got this.
I was moving on up.
In short order, too.
We moved
You
up.
hit every West Philly bullet all the way. Sheriff's Hill, moved to Steele on that.
So Robert and I, we lived on campus our first 2 years at Penn, and we're like, nah, we can't deal with this life. So we moved to Winfield. Both had cars. We were working at the club. We got a little money. We dressed nice, all that. So John Anderson says, well, look, the election's coming up in May. I'm looking for people to run for committee person. Would you be interested? I said, sure. So I run. This old white lady crushed my Lily Levinsky. I'll never forget it. She crushed me in the election, and so then John and he didn't go on to become the ward leader. So that was 82. Then 83, Bill Green announces that he's not going to run for re-election as mayor. Wilson Good resigns from his position as managing director, announces he's running for mayor. My guy's running for re-election to city council at large, and they asked me to be the campaign manager, which I said no. And I said, because I don't know anything about that.
Right.
And you should acknowledge what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? So they said, no, we're going to work with you. We'll help you. We'll guide you. Blah, blah, blah. So anyway, 83 was the first election that I worked on. Wilson is running in the primary, Frank Rizzo, all that craziness. 57 people were on the ballot that year for council at large. 57.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And my guy, John Anderson, comes in first, which had nothing to do with me and everything to do with him. He's just a dynamic guy, great person, great personality. That was May of 83. Wilson wins, he wins. That night, May 17, 1983, I made the decision, this is what I want to do with my life. 5 months later, Councilman Anderson died.
Oh, wow.
October 3rd. And so I was like out of it. I was in the wilderness. A lot of people I met, they were like, your guy's gone. Well, we don't need to deal with you. Yeah.
Discotheque open.
Right. So some hard lessons. Politics is tough. So then the next year, Al Pearlman, city councilman at large, he had been diagnosed with terminal cancer, convinces his wife to bring his gun to the hospital, puts a sheet over his head and kills himself.
Oh, wow.
In the hospital. Damn. So now there's a vacancy. Guy who was friends with Anderson, who had run in 83 but didn't win, Wilson Good gives him the nod. He asked me, Angel Ortiz asked me to be his campaign manager. I said yes, on one condition. A, I'm only going to stay with you for a year because in 1987, according to the plan, Councilman Anderson, I'm going to run for city council, and I can't be up in here because I'm going to run against one of your colleagues. Right. So he said, okay, fine. So we do that. He wins. I stay. I leave in 85, work on the DA's race. 86, I work with Ed Rendell, who's running for governor, and then 87, I'll run for city council. Lost to the incumbent, and then came back in 91 and won.
Okay. Now, at this point, you become the councilman of
Fourth District.
Yeah. So you were
the original Mr. Fourth District.
Councilman Curtis Jones. You were the original Mr. Fourth District.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you like doing it?
I loved city council. And I was active, did a lot of stuff, learned a lot about the city, learned a lot about people. And, even though I was a district councilman, I went other places and I worked on some things that, were citywide in nature. Created the first, police advisory commission, created the smoke-free environment in the city and a bunch of other things. But I enjoyed that work. But, around about my 12th, 13th year, I started thinking, we got the election coming up in 2007. I hadn't had a real competitive race for the last two elections.
Right.
And I was good. I was solid in my stuff. I took care of my folks. But I wanted to do more. And the reality is every mayor who's run for re-election since the 51 charter has been reelected. Every mayor who's run for reelection since 1951 has been reelected.
So basically, with that in mind, you knew if you can get elected the first time, you're guaranteed a second term.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that was if I stayed in city council and ran in 07 for reelection, and then somebody else becomes mayor, I know they're going to do 8.
Yeah, you got to wait 8 years.
I got to wait, right? So I said, look, I'm going to take a chance, step out here. I think I can do it. And, took a poll in May of 2006. And the poll said, no matter who ran, I would be 5th in a 5-way race.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
The next month, I resigned my city council seat and announced I was running for mayor.
Right. Who was the mayor before you?
John Street.
Street, right. That's what I thought.
So
So he was term limited.
Let me ask you this, Mike. What gave you the confidence that even though it's almost like a hit piece out on you, that you said, I believe in me, I'm still going to push forward and do this?
Well, I think you kind of took the words out of my mouth. I mean, a poll is a poll. It's a snapshot in time in that moment. Poll doesn't know how long you plan, how late you're going to stay up. Doesn't show what time you're going to get up in the morning. Doesn't know that you're going to sit in a windowless room for 4 to 5 hours a day and call people for money. Doesn't know that you can have the energy and the interest to go out here and run citywide. It's just what it knew at that time.
Got it.
But I believed in myself, and I believed in the people around us, and not in a crazy kind of way, but I thought we could do it.
Yeah.
I thought we could do it, and we just worked our ass off.
Was there ever a time, say up to this point, when you are literally throwing your hat in the ring to run for mayor? Was there ever a time where you felt like you were in over your head politically, or the job was too much, or there was something that you couldn't do?
I don't think so. I mean, you don't know until you get there. I mean, when you're sitting in that seat, it's a nice seat, but it's a lonely seat.
Right.
But I'd like to think that I did everything I could to prepare myself. I'd watched Bill Green. I'd watched Wilson Good. I'd watched Ed Rendell. I'd watched John Street, and I tried to make myself a student of government. I was paying attention as a city council member, but I was doing more than, maybe more than you just have to do to kind of get by. And so I thought I was ready. Like I said, you never know until you get there.
Right.
And certainly a whole bunch of things happened when I got there. I was like, oh, shit. Really? I didn't read that in the book.
Right.
So, but I love campaigning, and it's like just every day you're challenging yourself to get up and get out here. How many more people can I meet? How many more, can I, stick to my principles and my positions and say things that actually mean something and going to change somebody else's life? And that's the only reason to be in public service, because you really got to care about people. And it's never about you. It's always about them.
I remember meeting you when you were on the campaign trail. I was at Rose Tattoo on a date, having dinner, and you walked up to my table and you introduced yourself. You said, I'm Michael Nutter. I want to be the future mayor of city of Philadelphia. And you introduced yourself to me and to my date, and you basically did that to every single person in the restaurant. And I was like, damn, he probably is going to be the next mayor of Philadelphia.
Hey,
because I hadn't ever really felt
contact.
that personal touch from anybody in the political world at that point. And this is 2007, so I'm probably, 16 years ago. I'm like 24 years old. I'm a young kid. I don't know a lot about politics. I voted a couple of times to that point, but I had never felt that one-to-one interaction or connection with somebody that was in the political space.
I will say this. I can definitely remember seeing you and seeing Kurt Jones and never seeing like other politicians. Like even now, like I'll see Morgan, I'll see Catherine Gilmore Richards. You see some of them, but like up until that point, I never saw like the mayor or the governor or the. I'm just being honest.
No,
like,
I hear you.
You didn't see these people. It was like you would see them on TV,
right?
Or and whatever was going on, but you just didn't. Like I can vividly remember seeing you like walking down the street, and it was like people making the thing like, "Oh, Michael Nutter's on 52nd Street." You were like walking down 52nd Street. So like, that's a real thing.
Well, I loved it, man. I loved being out with people. I mean, obviously you got to be in the car from time to time, but here's a crazy story. So. It's New Year's Day, and I have maintained a tradition that Mayor Street has started, which was every January 1, the mayor would go to the prisons. And try to give a message of hope and optimism, because most of the people who are in our facilities up on State Road, I mean, most of those folks are going to get out at some point. We don't hold people that long, otherwise you're doing state time. So just like first day of the rest of your life and the first of the year, we haven't forgotten about you, blah, blah, blah. So do that. And then the other thing that happens on New Year's Day, of course, is Mama's Parade. So I do that, and all the tradition and everything. So like my day is done. And I'm going home, and we're behind a car. We're getting ready to jump on the expressway, and we're behind a car, and I see the person throw a bag of something out the window.
Yeah.
And I always sat in the front seat. I didn't like that whole back seat thing. I want to be like I want to see. I jump out of the car. My guy's like, "Man, where are you going?" I walk up to the car, and I look at the person, and I say, "What? What are you doing?" And they're like, "Mayor Nutter?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Did you drop something?" "Okay." They get out of their car, go pick their shit up. Then they drop it. I'm like, "This ain't your living room." Put that shit
The
back.
bear walking on you for littering.
Put that shit back in your car. Put that shit back in your car. Put that back in your car.
My fault, dog. That's hilarious.
Oh man, there was so many moments, man. That gig, there's no job. There's no job in politics.
Yeah.
Like being the mayor. None.
Let me ask you this, because I always wondered, as you mentioned sitting in a dark room making phone calls, getting money.
Windowless.
Dollar
room,
for
yeah.
dollars.
Does it take a lot to become mayor when you're campaigning? Because I remember how much they said how much it costs to like run for president.
Yeah.
That's like astronomical.
Yeah,
money.
that's.
But like, does it still cost a lot to handle being the mayor?
Yeah. Well, see, the bulk of the cost. Now, the game has changed. We've seen these last few elections because of Citizens United. Supreme Court ruling, and now you got the outside, the super PACs and all that. But when I ran, none of that was in effect. So I also did campaign finance reform, and so contribution limits. So we raised about $4.5 million in the campaign, right? And the max contribution someone could make was $2,500. So that's a lot of phone calls.
Touched a lot of people.
4 million, 2,500 at a clip.
At a clip, yeah.
That's the max. Don't forget the half.
That's the max you can get, right?
Yeah.
So here's this.
We trying to raise some money here too. Talk to you.
Some methods.
Call him real quick, Mike.
This is my strategy. I said, anybody I called, if I talked to them on the phone, if I actually got them on the phone, and unless you told me you were a relative or on the campaign finance committee of one of the other people who are running, I'm not letting you off this phone.
Give me something.
Right? So, depending on the person, I say, okay, can you give me $1,000? No, that's a little too much, bro. Okay, 500. Well, I'm not. 250. 100. I told a guy one time, I said, I'll give you, if you give me $25, I'll let you off this phone right now.
Give me a Taco Bell gift card right now. I'll let you off.
Right.
Feed the staff tomorrow.
Right. Give me $25. I'll let you on the phone right now. Right. I called somebody one time. Guy told me, he said it was near the end of the year. We're trying to make our end of the year. This is the end of 06. Trying to make our report. He said, well, Mike, I'm driving on the turnpike right now. I said, all right, pull over. I said, my purse is right here. They take your credit card right now. He did. Gave me a nice number, too. I said, pull over.
I was wondering how much it costs
to
fundraise.
And it's a lot of it is TV. Look, we're the fourth largest media market in the country. Mm-hmm. To be on TV at a decent level of penetration is $300,000 a week.
Yeah, that sounds
There's no credit. You have that money in Tuesday at 5 p.m., wire transfer only. If you don't, your shit not playing.
And this is during an era too where print media was super expensive. Yep. Like magazine ads, billboards, like cost a ton of money.
Yeah. See, Twitter and Facebook. When I came into office, people were still blogging. Yeah. Right? Couldn't even understand that concept, right? But Twitter and Facebook were only 2 years old.
Yeah.
Right? 07, 08. So,
it's
it's
like
just
04, 05,
right. Right. So, I mean, now, you got so many different ways to
Right.
communicate with people. But, the TV is probably still the most powerful medium out there. And it's very, very expensive. So, you got that. And then you got staff. You got a whole operation. You got, folks working. They want to get paid.
So how did you do it? How do you go from worst to first? Like, what do you think got you elected?
I think it was a couple things. First, you think about some of the personalities in the race. So, it was Bob Brady, Tom Knox, Dwight Evans, Chaka Fattah. So, Brady and Knox, they were always fighting because Knox challenged Brady's petition, so they had something going on.
I think everybody thought Dwight Evans was going to get elected. If I can remember correctly,
it was Chaka.
It was okay.
Yeah, Chaka was leading the pack always.
That
Chaka Fattah.
was Chaka.
He was always number one. And so I think the first part of it was, since nobody believed that I could win, nobody paid any attention to me.
Right.
That was the first. So I was just off to the side, right? They all mixing it up, doing whatever. What the slight miscalculation, I think, was first, I had to quit my job to run. They all still had jobs. So I was a full-time candidate. People said, damn, that's a pretty bold statement. Guy quit his job. Second, I was out there all the time. Third, I was the only one that had actual local government experience because I've been in city council.
Right.
So I could talk about things in a way that was different
Very, very
than
authentic.
the other guys, right? They're reading memos and doing stuff. I'm telling you about life experience and all that. And then I think we just worked hard, raised that money. Other than Tom Knox, who was a self-funder, I raised more money than anybody else. The positions that I took, and I think a lot of it was certainly around public safety, was a big issue, and education, integrity in government, all those kinds of things. And I don't know. And then, most people credit the commercial that my daughter was in, which was just
I do remember that.
powerful. It only ran a week, but of the 10 commercials we ran, that's the only one people remember. And it really lifted my profile in a different way, because people were like, oh, you grew up in a row house in West Philly? I'm like, where the fuck do you think I live?
To be all the way fair though, and like I told you about politicians connecting with us just on a ground level, you really do have like a sense of like these people don't live where you live or don't come from where you come from. And I remember meeting Lynn Abrahams, and like she lived down in Society Hill, or Ed Rendell lived right up off of Ridge Avenue. So it's like these people you don't really have like a you was getting water ice from Fred's, like you just not gonna see that from a politician. And
Right.
But with you and Councilman Curtis Jones, you drive down the street, you see him turning the ribs over on the grill. He's just like, all right, like, it's a very down home close to you feeling from a lot of from y'all as opposed to a lot of the other ones.
So that commercial told my story in 30 seconds. That commercial told my story better than I could in 30 minutes. Right. I have a family. I grew up in a neighborhood. I take my daughter to school. All of everything in the commercial was true, but it was presented in a way that, as you said, Matt, it made me seem more real and grounded. And so I think you put all those pieces together. We had a great team. The campaign staff, and they were truly, committed. They put their heart and soul into it, and it was an incredible experience. I loved it. I loved the whole thing.
How did you feel when you found out, like the night that you found out, like you were
Well,
elected?
here's the crazy thing. Our pollster, the same pollster, we had a private meeting. The pollster, the campaign manager, political consultant, chairman, and me. 2 weeks before Election Day, pollster said, keep doing what you're doing. Don't say anything. Don't change anything. You are going to win. You will win by 12 or 13 points.
So you knew in advance that you had this, as long as you just stayed the course.
Yeah, 12 or 13 points. That's a good bet. I would take that. Line only 2.5. I'd take him at 13. Seriously.
Hey, and we won by 12.
That's
He
amazing.
called it. But it was in that, still, like there's kind of knowing that, and then that night.
Yeah.
Right. And they came in and they told me, people were calling, they conceded and blah, blah, blah. And they said, you won. I was like, fuck. How do we do that?
Yeah, like I'm mayor.
I'm going to be the mayor of my hometown. So, but I tell you, man, when we got to the, we do the primary and then we do do stuff over the summer, and then general election and transition and blah blah blah. But it didn't fully hit me until Inauguration Day, and I had federal judge Ted McKee do the swearing in, and my wife and daughter and son, they're all there. My daughter's holding the Bible, and I got my hand up, and it's just basically pretty much the same oath I'd always taken when I got sworn in to city council. And so, but I could feel with every word, because he says it and then you repeat it, he says it and repeat it, and I could feel with every word, plus my hand was shaking, people probably couldn't see that, but I could feel like this coat coming onto my shoulders, and the weight of every word. And in my mind, I'm like, damn, I am about to become the mayor of Philadelphia. And then I finished the oath, and then people clap and blah blah blah, and then I go to make my speech, and it's one of the most important speeches I'll ever make, and you got to kind of get it right. And so, first few minutes, I was still kind of nervous, and then I kind of settled in, and then it was on, and it was just the most incredible feeling.
It seemed like you really cared. Like you really, really enjoyed it.
I loved it. I care about people. We had some things we wanted to get done, and you have to throw yourself into it. Now I describe it this way, although I've never done this, but you know like concerts way back in the day, and people would talk about, you see the artists like jump off the stage and go into the mosh pit, right? And then they carry it along and the way, right? So like I would never do that shit, but because people get a little shaky, plus they need all them hands on you. But I
just your wallet,
right. Come out with nothing, right? But that's the description I get. Like you have to throw yourself into this thing, right? And love it, and love being around people, and wanting to work on issues and make things happen. And the thing about local government, but especially about being the mayor, is you can actually see the impact of your work almost in real time.
Got it.
Lives saved, more kids educated, bike lanes, trees, water in the swimming pools, like whatever it is, you can actually see.
Yeah.
What you're doing. It doesn't take that long. It's unlike the state or the feds. It's like you're first of all, you're far away from people, and it takes forever for that work.
Right.
But we picked up people's trash today. We moved some abandoned cars. We took down a tree, a house that was decrepit, whatever the case may be, and you can see it. So, so I leave office, and so I'm back in civilian life, and I'm driving down the street. My wife and I were going somewhere, and so I saw a thing, a building or whatever. I said, "Oh, honey, I remember when we opened that building," and she said, "Yeah." And then I saw something else, and I said, "Oh, I remember when we did XYZ over there," and she said, "Yeah." And then I told her one more thing, and she said, "Look, we are not going to go down memory lane every time we get,
get in
the fucking car. Right? Now, turn the music on, shut the fuck up." Right? That's only a black woman can say. She said,
it's always the woman you love to humble you extremely.
She said, "I was there for all of these things. I saw it all. Okay, it's over. Okay, we are not doing the memory lane thing."
But y'all,
next few years.
Y'all did accomplish a lot though. Your staff, like you had it on it, like record lows and crime.
Record lows.
Yeah,
the murder rate was super down. Like, it was a lot of dope things. What is your favorite thing you accomplished as mayor?
Well, because I can never pick one, so I have two. The crime rate, homicides and shootings were at the lowest level since 1967.
We got that up.
We got to clap. That's major.
And we had significant increase in high school graduation. It was like 53% when I came in, and it was like 68, 69 when I left.
Yeah, you pulled some Joe Clarks.
Those are, and as proud as I am of those things, those are the two things. The flip side of those coins are the things that I'm most disappointed about. One shooting, one homicide is one too many. And I wanted the numbers even lower. And even getting to 68, 69, 70% high school graduation, I wanted 80, right? So, but I think for me, the main point I want to get across is you just can't ever be satisfied.
Right.
Right? You set some goals. We didn't get to where I wanted to get to. We were better than we were, and we left the city in better shape. And I mean, look, I'm certainly proud of that. But I think you can never stop striving. You can never stop wanting more. I want less of this and more of that, and less of this and more of that, whatever those things are. And that's how you drive a big organization like the city government to keep people focused, to keep them on point, to keep them on task. And you celebrate your little victory, spin around in the office, whatever you want to do.
Move on to the next task.
And then, boom, we're back, right? Because we don't have time. Because the one thing you learn, if you're lucky, you get to be mayor for 2,922 days. 2 full terms. Mm-hmm. The moment you say, and I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity, the clock is now started ticking against you. Mm-hmm. It's counting down. It's counting down. Hopefully you get reelected. Then you got the ultimate countdown because it's over. You cannot fix yesterday. You can only do something about today or tomorrow. You cannot replay yesterday. Mm-hmm. There's no do-overs in this. Yesterday was yesterday. Keep it moving. But every day you are one day closer to leaving. Right. And that you use that as a driving force to get things done. You say, we don't have no time to waste. Yeah. That day is gone.
Every day counts.
That day is gone. Yeah. Right? So, but use it wisely.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What would you say are the best and worst parts of being mayor of a major American city?
The best part is clearly the impact that you can have on people's lives. And whether that's, we talk about public safety, educating kids, economic development, fun, big events, activities. It's just, the greatest part of it is you can really have a positive impact on people's lives. I think the toughest parts for me were both the citizen deaths as well as our first responders in public safety. So I lost 8 police officers killed in the line of duty, 4 firefighters, a fleet manager, ladder was faulty and fell and cracked his head, and a young guy who worked for PGW, there was an explosion and a wall fell on him. I was at every one of those scenes. I was at every hospital for them and every one of those funerals. It is really, really tough losing your people. Yeah. In my wallet today, there's a picture of a young girl. And she was 3 years old, Tanira Borum, 3 years old, sitting on a neighbor's step, getting her hair braided. Mm-hmm. And 2 guys a half a block down the street were shooting at each other. And a stray bullet hit her in the chest and killed her.
Heartbreaking.
And so about a day or so later, I was out somewhere, and I called back to the shop, and I said, I need the address of the mother of this young girl. And staff called back, and they gave me the address, and I told the police officer, I said, I want to go to this address. He said, well, we don't know what's going on over there, and, we haven't advanced it. I said, we'll be fine. So we roll up. It's a small street. We got the big SUVs. Mm-hmm. We roll up on the block. Didn't call anybody, didn't tell anybody, because it was never about that. Right. I get out of the car, and neighbors are like, the mayor's on the block. I walk up, knock on the door, and Mom answers the door. She's surprised because I hadn't called. And I said, may I come in? She said yes. And we sat down, and we talked about her daughter. And I said, I want to apologize to you that in a city of 1.5 million people, $4 billion budget, that somehow we could not keep Tanira safe. And she accepted that, and then she gave me a wallet-sized photo of her daughter. And I put it in my wallet that day, and it's been there ever since. And it's a reminder for me of your obligation to people and that you never stop striving for excellence.
Man.
I got chills listening to that.
Yeah, really. Man, Mike.
3-year-old girl. 3-year-old. She never. It's painful, man. It's painful. Let me show you. I need to laminate this.
Got some hundreds in there, too. Yeah, beautiful little girl. Yeah. Yeah, they're born.
Mom gave me that day.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah. So those are the worst. Those are the worst days. And look, there's so many people, so many families suffering that tragedy.
Yeah.
Because it's really 2 lives at least that are impacted.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. The shooter and the person gets shot, and it's not just those individuals, because it affects the whole block. It affects the whole
Affects the
neighborhood.
community, yeah.
Right? Just imagine if you're a teenager and you were playing with your friend 2 days ago, and you come home from school one day and your friend is laying in the street. Do you think that is all resolved when they wash down the street and they take and then the tape and the teddy bears and all that? I mean, kids are traumatized.
Yeah. There's a ripple effect that goes through the whole community, through the whole city.
Right, they go to school the next day and all of that and acting out and right. So, I mean, we have to protect our children and our communities and our families from this trauma. And so, I think, for me, the number one job of any government, local, state, federal, county, is the protection of our citizens.
Right.
People want to be safe, right? And I'm not saying it's ever going to be perfect. I mean, shit, Cain killed Abel. I mean, folks
came from the gang war, and
folks been doing things, but you're trying to tamp it down.
Yeah.
People should be able to, go to the supermarket, go to church, synagogue, mosque, temple, go to school, and when you send your kids out in the morning, you should have a reasonable belief that they're going to come home
Absolutely.
in one piece, right? That you can go to work, you're a working person, or grandma wants to go to the doctor, whatever the case may be. And, it's just craziness out here. The stuff that people are doing.
Where do you think things went so wrong? You've been out of office now for
7 years.
7 years, right?
Yeah. There's no question that the ease of access to weapons is a significant issue, but folks have had access for a long time. Mm-hmm. I think it's you got to stay on point. You got to stay focused. You got to keep driving that agenda. And I felt, as a black guy from West Philly, I had a particularly special obligation to not just talk about these issues, but try to do something about it. Right. I think Mayor Street felt the same way. I think Mayor Good felt the same way. That and my life experience of my best childhood friend, Edwin Devon. He's since passed away, but he does a favor for this is when we were teenagers. Mm-hmm. So he got his license. We all wanted to get our license. Everybody wants to drive. He's in high school, and he does a girl a favor and gives her a ride. Boyfriend thinks it's more than that. Right. It wasn't. And shot him in the face with a pellet rifle. Take him to Misericordia. And I went to see him, and I'm watching the doctors literally picking these pellets out of his face. Mm-hmm. That impacted me. Right. So whether city council or being mayor, I know that public safety is a critical issue. And so, I just think we've got to get back focused to that. We've got to have straight talk. You talk about the realest podcast ever. The fact of the matter is, everybody who commits a crime does not necessarily have to go to jail, but everybody who commits a crime has to have some kind of consequence.
Right. They have to be held accountable for that.
Absolutely. Because you made that decision. Right. You had that weapon. You chose to use it. Look, I know your life may have been not Ozzie and Harriet, and we probably have failed you in any number of ways over time. But in that moment, you made that decision.
You made an unlawful decision.
Now that you've taken that action, we have to take another action.
Right.
Right? I'm sorry you didn't have a great childhood, but we're not talking about that now. You just walked up and shot somebody in the fucking head.
Yeah.
Right? Listen, we passed that.
Right.
Right? We're on to another thing. And, you know, if people don't feel that they're going to be held accountable, then they do whatever. Right? My father used to tell me all the time, he said, son, locks are for honest people.
Yeah. My grandfather used to say something similar to that. Yeah.
Right? This is about personal accountability. Right? So unless you are under attack, you have no right to shoot, stab, kill, rape, rob anybody else. Right. Keep your hands to yourself.
I say it all the time.
Leave my shit alone.
I don't care what you pray to, who you want to date, none of that. Just don't break into my car, into my house. Just
Right.
leave my stuff alone.
Right. I work for
live
that.
the same way, yeah.
I work for that.
Yeah.
It's not yours.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know. We don't want to end like that.
No. We got a lot. Can I ask you this? When you the day you left from being mayor, did you feel like damn, I'm not doing this no more? Or did you feel a sigh of like, ooh, I made it, it's over?
Well, the truth of the matter, I mean, I didn't want to leave.
Yeah, I can see that.
I didn't want to leave, but you know, they said, well, home rule charter, you know. I'm gonna hold on. Drag his ass on that. Nah, man, I left that office. Like I said, the inauguration was Monday, January 4th. I left. Last time I was in there was December 31st, 2015. I've been packing up myself. You know, the last 6 months. I mean, you know it's coming. It's coming. Yeah. It's coming, right? And like we said,
here come Mike again. Now, let me show you where the cleaners. So you already know about the sponges under the sink.
This place right here, best grilled cheese. Best grilled cheese.
You gotta get your head right, right? Because but you still gotta do the job, right? So it's like a duality kind of thing, right? But like anything else, you gotta do it till the end. You gotta run through the tape, right? And so I leave the office. We have that weekend, and then this inauguration, and then later that week, my wife and daughter and a whole bunch of friends, we went away, went down the islands, what we called the cool out tour, and we were just totally chilling. And it was a different feeling. It's a transition in and of itself, because now you got to transition out, right? It's not your job, it's not your responsibility. Just like, but I was telling this story just yesterday. So they you always have police security protection, and somebody at your house and the whole thing, and driving the car and all that. So in Philly, at least, our tradition is when you leave the mayor's office, you get 6 months of continued service with the police. They reduce the numbers, but you have a couple people, right? Yeah. So, but in 2016, we had the Democratic National Convention, which I had applied for when I was in office, and then it's a 2-year out thing, so we applied in 14, and we went it for 16. So I said, look, I just need to get through the convention, which is in July, so I actually need like 7 months. So the Commissioner Ramsey talks to Commissioner Ross, they work it out. I get it. So doing our thing, now come time for the convention, right? So, basically it's Monday to Thursday, right? And you got all the different speakers, blah, 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 and then the Thursday night is the last and final night, and that's when the nominees speak. So, it was Hillary Clinton, all that, right? So so go to the convention, Hillary speaks, everybody's happy, go to a couple parties, whatever. And so my guy, he's taking me home. We've done everything, now he's taking me home. So comes out the driveway, and he says, well, Mr. Mayor, it's been real, and we've had a lot of fun. But this is it.
This is it. It's the last ride.
This is it.
Sign this for me, player.
Sign here, initial here, and you are relieved of service.
You are done. All right, bro. So the next day, that Friday morning, get up and I come outside. And I'm like, well, damn, what the fuck do I do now? I ain't got no car. I ain't got nobody to take me nowhere. I don't have no meetings. Don't nobody want to talk to me. Damn, this is it.
I'm just a washed up former mayor at this point. This is crazy.
You down there blowing the dust off the record?
You see what Curtis Mayfield talking about this morning. Because nobody want to talk to me.
Put some Hal Melvin in the blue songs. Wake up, everybody. But here's another one where I really realized, kind of where I was in life. So I started teaching at Columbia University.
Right.
Right after the spring, right after I got out of office. So I started in like March. So one time I had been, I've been traveling, and so I had my luggage with me, and I came to Columbia, and I had my luggage, and then I needed to get home for an event in Philly. So I didn't have that much experience with the car services.
Okay.
So I ordered a car while I'm in my office, and then I'm gonna just pop down the elevator and come out. And I really needed to catch this like 5 o'clock train or something. But I'm way up on 118th Street in New York. So trying to get to Penn Station. So I run out of the building. There's a car there, and I jump in the car. And so we go down the end of the block, and we make a right, and it's a very long street. I think it's called Morningside Drive. About halfway down, the guy's phone rings, and he got on speakerphone, and the lady says, "So where are you?" And he says, "What do you mean?" And she said, I'm waiting for you."
Yeah.
And so then he turns around and looks at me, and he says, "Oh, you have to get out." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Yeah. I got in the wrong car.
Yeah, I was about to say that happened to me one day. I've done it.
So I got in the wrong car. He's like, "So you have to get out." Okay. So I get out. I got my luggage. And so then I call the car that I was supposed to be in, right? But
Where are you at?
So I was like, okay, I got the wrong car. And he said, "All right, well, where are you?" And so I look around, but the street was so long, there were no street signs. Right. So I said, "Well, I don't know." He said, "Well, I can't come get you if you don't know where you are."
Figure it out.
I said, "Okay, all right, never mind." So me and my little luggage, I get down at the end of the block so I could see where I am. And it was in that moment that I realized, I said, 6 months ago, I was the leader of the fifth largest company in the United States of America. 20-some thousand employees. I had a car take me wherever I want and drive me out. And right now, you are just another Negro. standing
in New York, don't know where you're going.
Go to New York, and you don't even know where you are. You are done, man. You are done. Nobody.
It's over, bro.
You are nobody. It's just another Negro standing on the corner waiting for the lift to come.
That's hilarious.
I said, "Damn." Okay. But 6 months ago,
I was the man.
I was doing something.
Straight Al Bundy with it. Let me ask you this, because this is after you were done being married. You worked with Obama, didn't you? Or did you? That was what during?
That was during.
Okay,
yeah. And then he came out of, but they had My Brother's Keeper,
right?
And I was on the advisory for
How was that.
That was great. President Obama, he was always fun to be around. I mean, super smart and all that. But I had this one situation. So he's kind of funny. Whenever we would see each other, he always like loud and would only call me by my last name. So we'd see each other. "Nutter, how you doing, man? What's going on? What's happening?" Oh, Mr. President, what are you doing?
Shout out D.
So this one time, so he comes to town. He's coming for a fundraiser, and the tradition, of course, is you meet the president at the airport, right? So Air Force One, big ass plane.
I was at the airport one time when he actually comes in. No one can move.
It's massive.
It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. So
Leader of the free world.
Hey, serious man. So he comes down the steps, and he was always bouncing. Comes down the steps, and the officer salutes and that whole thing, and I greet him, and we chit chat about whatever. So he says, "Look, I got to go over," because they always had like people, just like regular folks, over on the side, and he worked the rope line. She says, "So hang around, and I'll catch up with you after I do this thing. Because normally I would just, our car would just be in the motorcade and we go wherever we're going to go, right? So I'm hanging around and he walks over in the big beast car that's right there. And so he finishes the thing and I say, okay, I'll see you at the event. And he says, no, hop in.
Oh, you actually got to ride in the beast?
So I'm like, what? He said, yeah, jump in the car. Like you do with your like you do with your friends, right? like, oh, I'll give you a ride, right? So he always gets in on the passenger side. And so I walk around the back of the car. The Secret Service agent is standing there. He looked me dead in my face. I said, he told me to get in.
I want no smoke.
I'm not standing here. I'm not trying to get in his car, right? I said, he told me to get in. He said, okay. Opened the door, sat in there, and I mean, it's an incredible car, but it's totally crazy.
On it.
Yeah. So I'll send this to you. So I used to have one of those. Do you remember Zune? The little portable music player.
Oh, the music player, yeah. Like Microsoft's version of the iPod.
Yeah. So I was into that. I had a Zune, right?
You was a DJ.
Yeah, I gotta have a music player, right? So I'm in the beast. I'm looking around.
Looking for the aux.
I'm looking for an aux jack.
Pass me the core, Breezy. That's hilarious.
Because I know he listened to music in the car, right? So I never did find it. It's probably behind some panel or something. But anyway, I'm gonna send you. I made a playlist on Spotify called "Tunes I Would Have Played in the President's Car." So I'm gonna send you the link. Oh man, but my brother's keeper and a bunch of things we worked on during his administration. His whole team, the president, Valerie Jarrett, the different cabinet secretaries. I mean, we had every cabinet secretary in his administration, with the exception of Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State, had some event, some activity, some program in Philadelphia during our time. Well, because Philly is the largest city closest to D.C., and you can get up here quick, do a presser, fourth largest media market, so you're going to get your message out, and you can be back in D.C. in the afternoon.
Get in and get out.
Very
Right?
true.
So, and we just, we knew what we were doing, and we got along with them. So they always had folks coming up here to do different things. So we became pretty close. But I enjoyed working with him, and certainly First Lady Michelle Obama. They're just really great people.
Yeah, they seem like it.
Yeah, genuine.
Another role that you held, how would you explain your role as President, United States Conference of Mayors?
Yeah.
That sounds like a big title and a lot of responsibility.
Well, it was during 2012. It's a one-year term, and you have to move up through the ranks. You get on the advisory board first, then you become a trustee, then second vice president, first vice president, then president. So it takes 5 years, and I did it in 5. With a lot of support from other mayoral colleagues. You're the voice and the face of the organization across the country. Pretty much anything happens, certainly if it has any effect on cities, you're going to be on TV or you're issuing a statement or whatever the case may be. 2012 was, we had Sandy Hook, so I was president, during that time, and other horrific incidents, and Michael Brown, Eric Garner, just the Trayvon Martin, and all. So even when I wasn't in presidential leadership, I was in leadership, and so you're interacting at a level with all the main players in the administration. So USCM is the voice and face of the mayors across the country, and you get voted by your colleagues to lead this organization. So it is a lot of responsibility. And again, my team, the city team, I had a couple folks who shifted some of their responsibilities just to help me do that job better. But it was a great honor. I'm still actively involved with the conference, go to the meetings, 2 big meetings a year, and I've just really stayed engaged and involved. Know tons of mayors across the country and work with them, provide some advice, and a little bit of mentorship and guidance from time to time. People reach out and ask. So I love my time during USCM.
Can I ask, what was it that shifted where you went from this basically unknown guy where, you know, if 5 people run, you coming in 5th place, to where now it just, at least from talking to you and just we've gone out, we might go out today, eat some lunch, you seem to be very respected countrywide from all mayors in all different parts of the country as like, I need to talk to Mike. I need to get with him. Like how did that shift happen? Even to where you say the other mayors like are pushing for you to be the leader in this conference.
I think there's a couple things. I think I presented myself in a serious way, in a legitimate way. I looked out for other people, other mayors in the conference, and I wasn't afraid to say what needed to be said. And so I think folks are always, wherever you are in your journey, people are always looking for leadership. They want folks to step up. That's the way I was raised. Just again back to 55th and Larchwood, and my parents, can hear still my father talking about, be independent, think for yourself, don't do just what everybody else is doing. You gotta take care of your own business. And so I did step out there on a number of different occasions, campaign for other folks, work with other people. You got to be generous with your time and your spirit, and be humble enough, quite frankly, to ask for help when you need it. So I would reach out to other folks, other mayors who had been there, been in the position, longer than me, and ask them for help and advice. Like we used to say, if you don't know, you better ask somebody. Right. So I don't know. Yeah. Personality.
What would you say that you, if you had to narrow it down to, it doesn't have to be one thing, a couple things. What are you most proud of from your 2 tenures as mayor?
I think I brought a level of, I'm hoping I brought a level of respectability, to the city. I wanted Philadelphia to be bigger on the national, international map. When you look at the events and activities that we brought to Philadelphia, my first year, which of course I had nothing to do with, Phillies won the World Series.
I thought you were about to say, when I got in there,
right?
I want to,
Shane Victorino just knew he was batting 300.
Chase Utley,
right? Ryan Howard. I like whatever, but I will say this. I threw out the first pitch at the Phillies home opener in March of 2008. Phillies went on to win the World Series. I never threw out the first pitch for the rest of my time in office, and the Phillies did not win.
Hey, man, ain't no mystery in your history.
Hey, listen, these are facts.
You take 2 pieces of information, you do with them what you want.
This is tangible data.
Just right. I
From
don't
the
know.
former mayor.
Maybe it doesn't matter. But, maybe I should have thrown out another first pitch. I don't know.
Hilarious.
But no, it's there's something about being out there. Look, I guess I always consider myself an on-field player, right? I want to be in the game. I want to be in the mix. I want the ball. Whatever the case may be, and constantly challenging yourself to make things better. And I think we did elevate the city nationally and internationally.
Absolutely.
The papal visit at the end. Obviously they could have gone anywhere. They decided Philadelphia, and so I always just wanted us to show up and represent well, and have people think of us, in a way that maybe they hadn't before. Yeah. And I tried to stay focused like that.
Did Made in America start with you?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought
That was
Yeah.
in my
2012.
brain. Yes, literally.
2012. Yeah. They picked us again. They had seen the different events, 4th of July, these events, that event, the other event, and we got a call one day from Jay-Z's folks, and they said, we're thinking about this new concept, and we're looking at Philly. Would you guys be interested? Shit, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got the microphone. I hop on the mic.
When? So the day of the press conference, we're at on the steps of the art museum, and we're in the back, and going through the run of show, and we come around, and so we come outside, and the crowd's going crazy. Jay-Z is there, and I turned to him. I said, it was song out of
New York.
no, public
service
announcement. And I turned to him and I said, I guess you got your swagger back.
Yeah.
It's like, what? It's like, how you know that? I'm like, well, listen.
Yeah,
you know,
in Germantown.
I know what's up.
It is
that was
crazy
a good
to
day.
think, like,
That
as
was a
the
good
mayor,
day.
just how many people you come in contact.
Yeah.
You were a law-abiding citizen.
Yeah, I was in law-abiding.
How did that happen?
So this is crazy. So, you know, I whenever there was a movie or a series or whatever being filmed, I would always go on set and thank the director and the actors, and just for being here in Philly. I mean, those things bring so much money.
yeah.
So much. They spend a ton of money, right? They have big dinners. They're buying clothes. They're doing stuff, whatever, right? So a lot of it was filmed in City Hall.
Right.
And so, as a matter of fact, big portions of it were filmed in the mayor's reception room. So, you know, they had to get our permission, by the way. We take all the furniture out, and they had like 2 or 3 different sets. So what happened was, and I got to meet, you know, F. Gary Gray, the director, and he was down. And so we were talking one day, and they had this scene where, not spoiler alert, where they have to swear in
Jamie Foxx.
the DA. Well, but they didn't know how to do that.
I just want to know all the time.
They had the idea, right? So they didn't have the oath. They didn't have a Bible, right? So I'm sitting there talking to Gary, and I said, well, so, you know, this is what you do, and here's the thing, and blah, blah, blah. And then he looks, he said, well, why don't you do it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
Shit, y'all ain't said nothing to word.
right.
Extra soup.
I'm good to go.
Yeah.
So that scene, I'm on camera for 1 minute. It took 4 hours to
Yeah.
film that scene.
How many
because
times did they reshoot you?
they-
Different angles and
right. They got multiple cameras, like you all have, and then they got to get Jimmy Foxx right. They got to get Viola Davis right. There's movement, you know, so that always creates, you know, it's
Yeah,
a
that
timing
was Viola
piece.
Davis. That was the
She was there, right? So, and I'm just there in between them, and I'm watching it, and it would be, you know, Gary would like, Jimmy, I want you to do it this way, or right. So, and then we'd like go away, and then they come back, and blah blah. And then my office was right around the corner, so it didn't matter. So, so they do the scene, and it's great. So one day I stopped back by, and I noticed, you know, a chair that Viola Davis was sitting in. She's the mayor, and I said, damn, that chair looked better than the one I got. So about 3 weeks after production wraps up, they're all gone, everything. I was out somewhere. I come back to the office, and the chair is in my office with a note from F. Gary Gray. We had a great time here in Philly. Just wanted to leave this behind.
that's amazing.
Again,
Now, did you tell them how much you liked the chair, or they just caught you eyeing it?
they called me on. I mentioned it to someone.
Oh, okay.
That I really liked it.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, I wasn't like
Yeah.
I had no expectation, right? And yeah,
That's
they
decent.
gave it a chair.
Yeah.
They gave it a chair. And that was the chair I sat in for the rest of my time.
Was there ever a time you met someone that was either like famous or an athlete or somebody politically, and you were surprised that they knew you?
There's one. It's an interesting story. It's kind of funny. We used to get invited to President Obama, First Lady. He would have these parties at the White House, right? Christmas party or this party or that party or whatever. And, you know, from time to time I get invited. And, I mean, it's all kinds of stars and stuff there. And, you know, Stevie Wonder. And then one day, one time it was Stevie Wonder and Prince performed at the same time in the White House.
I'm trying to
That
hold
was
it together.
insane.
But
That was crazy.
I thought you were about to say Stevie Wonder recognized you. I swear. Sorry, Mike full of it now. I was trying to hold it
Cut all
together.
this.
No. But I have met him a couple times. The second time he heard my voice. He said, "Oh man, no." So, but you heard the speaking of Stevie Wonder, you seen the clip with
Dr. Dre?
Shaq talking about Stevie Wonder. You don't know that story
With Shaq?
Shaquille O'Neal.
I mean, I know who Shaq is.
Yeah, right. No. So I'm gonna get back to your question. So it's on YouTube, I think. So Shaq says that Stevie Wonder can see. He said, because apparently they lived in the same building at some point in time, right? So Shaq said he was on the elevator. Stevie Wonder gets on. He's standing next to him and turns and says, "What's up, Diesel?" He had never said anything. He said, "Steve, what I can see." Anyway, so here's a video clip. You gotta check it out. This is crazy. So anyway,
What's up, Diesel?
What's up, Diesel? So I'm at the White House. We're at this party, and I say to my wife, you want anything from the bar? So I'm going to the bar. And there's all kinds of stars there, and people, Samuel L. Jackson is there, and I mean, just all these folks. So I'm over by the bar, and I see one of the president's daughters, Malia, who I guess at the time was like a teenager. And, I was like, it seems a little weird to say anything like the president's children. Blah, blah. Yeah. So, but we're literally standing right there, and I turn to her and say, so good to meet you. I'm Michael Nutter, mayor of Philadelphia. And she looks at me and says, "I know who you are." That was surprising. I said, really? "Oh, okay." She's just like a 17-year-old young lady living her life. Why do you know why?
I mean, I saw Law Abiding Citizen.
I saw Law Abiding Citizen 3,500 times. So
it's on every other night. So.
Well, it's funny because I know it gets in like some kind of rotation or something. And people have mentioned. I said that movie's 10 years old.
It's always on.
No, it's always on.
Okay, so that was. I was actually kind of surprised. But yeah. I know who you are.
That's cool.
Okay, paying attention. But those White House parties. Janelle Monáe, she performed at one. She was like on a table and singing, and I mean they were just fun.
Yeah,
they were just fun. But the Stevie Wonder Prince one, where they were performing together, was quite amazing.
Yeah, to start out in the discotheque on Germantown Ave and then end up at the White House party for the Obamas, where Stevie Wonder's performing with Prince. It's like, damn, dog, we came a long way from the carpet walls. Like, seriously,
it's been a crazy life.
That's decent, man. One thing I noticed this is going to highlight is just how cool you are, and we kind of realized it just by hanging out with you, meeting you at different places. Like, hey, Michael Nutter's a cool dude. Like, he's not like
the coolest.
Like not uptight at all. Like, you definitely like a down to earth, cool dude. And what are you doing now? Like now that you're like removed from it all.
So I'm still teaching at Columbia.
Okay.
I don't teach in the summer. It's fall and spring. So we go back right after Labor Day.
And what are you teaching?
So it's grad students at the School of International and Public Affairs.
Okay.
So they're getting a master's in public affairs or international affairs. Government service, that kind of thing. So I teach one course a semester, and I have two different courses. The one in the fall is called Leadership and Urban Transformation. So that's really about going into public service and why and how and running for office, and I show them a lot of commercials. And so again, a lot of leadership work. And then in the spring, so I'm the inaugural David N. Dinkins Professor of Practice at Columbia. Mayor Dinkins.
David Dinkins from New York.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Mayor Dinkins was at Columbia for like 20 years. He came there right after he left office.
Okay.
So they had a chair. The chair had been designated in his name, but was never filled.
Got it.
So as I'm about to transition out in 2015, they reach out to me and say, we're starting to search, and would you be interested? And I said, well, want to be honored to be associated, with Mayor Dinkins, and he was still teaching at the time. And I said, but I'm still in office, so I can't really have this conversation. I need to wait. So long story short, we work it out. I come out in 2016, and then I start there. And then when he left, about a year and a half before he passed, he stopped teaching, and I took over his course, and that's called Critical Issues in Urban Public Policy. And I kept the format that he had, which is every week there's a guest speaker who's a content expert in a particular area. And so I'm exposing the students to a ton of people that they would normally never meet, interact with. I help them get jobs or internships and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the main thing. And then I have a fellowship at Penn at the School of Social Policy and Practice. Okay. And then I have another fellowship at the University of Chicago, Harris School of Public Policy. And then I chair the Senior Advisory Committee for the Institute of Politics at Harvard Kennedy.
Are you still active?
Very active. You everywhere.
You know,
You find
look,
time to go.
I got bills to pay. You know what I'm saying? You know, so I got to pay for that many. And then I have my own consulting practice.
Microwave Nutter Advisors.
So I have a group of clients who, you know, are looking to grow and expand their businesses in a variety of places. And because I know all these mayors and cities, and you know, so I can help guide them. And then I'm on some boards and that kind of stuff.
You really have been around a lot of like great black politicians throughout the history. Like you see, like just Dinkins and Good and Street and Obama. Like you've been around.
I've
been a great company.
Fortunate. I've been fortunate. Again, these are all learning experiences, you know, with these folks, and they've been generous, you know, with their time. When after I won the primary in 2007, the summer of 2007, I went to Chicago and met Mayor Daley, Rich Daley, for the first time, and then I went to New York and met Michael Bloomberg. For the first time, and it's through those contacts and relationships again that I've you know had the opportunity to do a lot of different things through those. You know, politics is the ultimate people business. Yeah, for sure. You got to put yourself out there, ask for help, ask for advice, and then show up when you need it. And that that's what I tried to do. But I'm enjoying myself. That 8-year period was incredible, but you got to move on. Forward. Yeah, you know, there's life after public service.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. You know, I got one last question, and then we can wrap and we can go grab some food. This current political regime in the city of Philadelphia, namely Jim Kenney and Larry Krasner, seem to be in everybody's crosshairs a lot. They've gotten a ton of criticism for the present conditions of the city. Do you call fair or foul on that? And the second part to that is, are we in unprecedented times where anybody would have certain challenges if they were the DA of Philly or the mayor of Philadelphia?
So a couple things. The first is I, at least within myself, and I've watched other people, so I have not given an interview or said anything publicly about the current mayoral administration.
Correct.
So I'm going to stick to that. Obviously, I did write something a while back with regard to a particular situation, comments that the DA had made back at that time, and that kind of set me off. But I think for folks your age, or I'll put it this way, for folks my age, the seminal time or event that we often refer to is 1968, right?
See, my mother was born.
Vietnam War, the assassinations. I mean, it's just the whole 60s. It's just crazy, turbulent time, and we put a man on the moon, right? So I mean, all kinds of stuff. And I think for you all and younger generations, I think 2020 is going to be that seminal time, right? So
yeah, we're not going to feel the true effects from 2020 for a good while.
Stick with me. So worldwide pandemic, massive fiscal distress, racial reckoning, presidential election, and what I call the 13th month of 2020, an insurrection in January of 21, right? Those 5 things have changed the country and the world. And so in terms of Philadelphia, I mean, to be honest, crime was actually going up. Violent crime was actually going up in the 3 years before the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And then the pandemic just took it to a whole other level. And then when you look at other cities across the country, like 12 cities, including Philly, somewhere in the 2021 timeframe, had all-time record highs.
Yeah, you talked about it a lot on the show.
For violence, right? So you have that. But the fact of the matter is, when you're in these positions, you got to do something. And so, I'll leave it to others to do the assessment of, this current combination. But I think that we've lost a little bit of our focus in general. And when you're in these positions, I would say, right or wrong, you have a responsibility.
Yes.
You have an obligation. People are dying in your streets. And, look, if I only met with people I liked, I'd have had a lot of free time. You got to work with what you got.
That's real.
And you got to work with who you got to work with and get some shit done, right? And I know the numbers are certainly coming down, but they're coming down from, all-time highs. So, we got to get back, below 400, below 300, one day, hopefully below 200 in terms of the homicides. And, and make that an issue and make that a focus and a commitment. And you get to drive this organization, this big, city government and our citizenry and get back on track. And that takes the mayor and the police commissioner and the DA and the courts to have some semblance of some kind of plan or coordination. And I think everybody now is just kind of, look, everybody's working, everybody's doing their thing, just not in a coordinated fashion.
I was just about to say.
But everybody's showing up every day.
When you guys were in office, it felt very cohesive.
Well,
and now it looks very disjointed at times,
yes.
where it's like you got this pocket of people, you got this pocket of people, you got these guys who don't really, you don't ever see them with them.
Yep. Right.
That's how it feels.
We did a show last year, I want to say around like May or June. Mm-hmm. Two political officials, I'm not going to say who they were. Right. And we literally at that time asked them, who is going to be the next mayor of Philadelphia? Who can steer the ship and, get us back on a focused track to greatness again? Mm-hmm. And they refused to answer the question. Like they talked around it. It was like, well, they all have good quality. And I'm just like, just pick a person. Like, just tell me who can do the job.
Right.
If you can't pick one, give me 2-3 candidates. And I'm just like, it's 17 people. The people don't know. At this time, it was like 16, 17 candidates. The people don't know who is next. And y'all are in active office now and won't stamp anyone.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think that back at our time, I mean, the relationship, Commissioner Ramsey and I mean, we were just, there was no space between us. Mm-hmm. Seth Williams was DA at the time. Mm-hmm. Seth was a good DA. Obviously, had some other challenges, but doing that job, he did that job. And I think that, and then we, my Deputy Mayor for Public Safety, Everett Gillison, who had been public defender for a long period of time, and, we at least talked to the courts. I mean, look, the judges are independently elected. They got the robe. You can't tell them what to do, right? The DA is independently elected. Can't tell them what to do. The mayor is independently, right? But we would meet, and I'd say, okay, we all have these jobs, but we actually only have one job.
Right.
That's the safety and protection of the citizens.
Serve the people.
Right? So when Seth started going after folks with guns, created gun stat, asked for higher bail, longer sentences, I mean, the word got out. You have to send a message to the streets. We are not fucking around here. Yeah. We're not playing. This is serious. There will be consequences for this kind of behavior and activity. And during our time, we spent a lot of time collaborating and coordinating our efforts. The police, the DA, the mayor's office, the courts. I was very, very focused on returning citizens, right, as a part of a crime reduction strategy. Mm-hmm. If you're out here and you're gainfully employed, you are less likely to be doing all this other shit because you don't have time. Because now you're gigging, you're working, right? You got some coin in your pocket. And so we helped tons of folks who had a previous criminal record, get their lives back. Right. So now I just took you off the field. You're not involved. You can see a pathway for yourself, right? I mean, we got to give these young people a sense that, like, 25 is an attainable number. Right? I mean, I was never worried about being 25 years old.
Absolutely.
Right? So, but if you don't think you've got a future and you don't see any prospects, you make a whole set of different decisions than somebody who's seeing a future and seeing some hope, right? And so I think we've got to give folks a sense of hope out here. So I'm hopeful. Look, not prejudging, but Sorrell Parker is going to be the next mayor.
Yes.
And she has, I think, an incredible opportunity to bring this city together, put a focus on public safety issues. She's been here. She's been in office for a long time. She has her own son. She knows the importance of public safety issues. And I think, she's able to pull a good team together, surround herself with folks who are, serious about the business. Then I think she can reunify this city and put the focus where it needs to be, which is on public safety and educating our kids.
It's real, man. Michael, I want to thank you so much.
Thank you.
For coming here today, sir.
Absolutely. No,
Shake your
it's
hand
all
on
good.
camera.
Sorry
Let
it took
people
so
know
long.
I know you, and we're friends.
Sorry it took so long.
This has been phenomenal, man. Thank you so much. You don't do a lot. We started off before we cut the mics and cut the cameras on. You don't do a lot of interviews.
No.
And this took a personal connection to get this done, but we absolutely appreciate it and applaud you for all of the great work that you've done and the work that you continue to do. In the education space and just being very present, available, and front facing for a ton of different people, man. Generation of people.
I tried my best. Try to do the best I could every day.
Yeah, no.
Some days we won, some days we lost, but the effort was always there. And again, another shout out to our good mutual friend, Kevin Harden.
Absolutely.
Serious brother, and always wishing him the best.
Absolutely. If anybody wants to get in contact with you, find you, are you on social media?
Not really.
Not really.
LinkedIn.
Okay.
And I still call it Twitter. I don't know what the other guy calls it.
Twitter X Twitter.
Yeah, I can't deal with that. Those are ways. And then, Mike Nutter LLC. .com is through the website, but I'm just living my best life.
That's
trying
real,
to be around for more than a minute.
Yeah.
My dad gonna like this one. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's like, y'all talk them rappers. I don't know what's going on, but he's gonna enjoy this.
West Philly Mike, I can get with that.
I love it when you said your uncle told you about.
Yo, I swear to you, I thought he was playing. I said, man, I ain't about to bring that up in front of the mayor, man. He's like, I'm telling you, I'm Mixmaster.
That is hilarious.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
Yeah, that's
good
real,
stuff.
man. But that's how you just always been there in front of the people.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Well, it was funny, man. When I was running for mayor, I'd run into, it's a citywide thing, right? And I'd run into people, and every now and then they'd like lean in a little closer. I said, "How you doing, man? What's going on?" I said, "I remember you from the Impulse."
Yeah.
And we just like nod.
Man, go ahead, man. I'm trying to be mayor, man.
Keep it on the down.
Yeah, I'm not.
Like, okay, all right. We're not going to talk about that.
I'm here for a different agenda today, my brother.
Fortunately, there were no cell phones, no video, no nothing. Right? Nothing to come back.
Yeah, true.
If you didn't witness it yourself, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
It didn't happen.
Straight up.
But no, man, those were great times, man. I learned so much. I'll leave you with this: the best training for me, at least for me being mayor, were the lessons I learned at the Impulse. I shook a lot of hands. I had to remember a lot of names. I met a lot of people, and every now and then I had to throw somebody out.
That's real.
In the mayor's office, I met a lot of people. I shook a lot of hands. I had to remember a few folks. And every now and then I had to throw somebody out my office.
Throw some people out.
And that was my training.
That show you, man. Living life, man. That's the best training.
Well, you got to bring them all with you.
Yeah, true.
Bring your full self.
If you haven't gotten your tickets, get them. TRPE weekend, August 26th, August 27th. Next weekend, we'll be 7 days away now.
Yes.
6 days away, 7 days away. OfficialTRPE.com. Events tab. Thank you for Mr. Nutter.
My
man.
Thank you.
You got anything else?
Thank you both.
I got nothing else, man.
All right.
TRPE, Chad, Matt, Michael A. Nutter. We are
Big
signing
Daniel.
off.
We's out. Peace.